Okay guys, you know what time it is? Time for my long-term review on the 2024 Honda Ridgeline. Let's jump in, we'll have a look. So in this video, what I thought I'd do is, I saw another YouTuber and I think the guy was in Minnesota complaining about, his video was entitled The 5 Things He Hates About His Honda Ridgeline. And I think overall, he's like me, he quite likes the truck, but there was a few things that were bothering him. And so I thought that I would address the same things that were concerns for him and give my perspective on it. And this isn't a rant video, the he's putting out good information. And I'm going to subscribe to his channel. So the first thing that he complained about was the dead pedal on the Ridgeline. And for those of you that haven't had Honda vehicles before, Honda's traditionally had what's called a dead pedal. And it's basically a flat spot where you can put your foot while you're driving to rest your foot. And he was suggesting that on long drives, this was a problem for him. Well, I've had my vehicle for 6 months now, and I've got 5,000 or 6,000 kilometers, maybe 7,000. I haven't checked the odometer recently, but it never even occurred to me that the dead pedal was an issue. So that's my perspective. He's saying that it makes it difficult to stretch out his legs on a long drive. In my humble opinion, I would just take the seat and move it back. Now, there's a bit of a safety aspect to it. I mean, the dead pedal gives your left foot a great place to, to have some stability in a panic braking situation or, rough driving conditions, what have you. So I think to me, that's just nitpicking, but, it's his opinion and to each his own, right? And that was the first thing that he complained about. So now you've got my perspective on it. I mean, honestly, like I said, it didn't even occur to me until I saw his video. Okay, so let's talk about the center console and the push-button gear shift setup. Going from a 2015 Honda Fit to a 2024 Honda Ridgeline, technology has changed a lot. And the whole idea behind this is to free up space in the center console. And so, do I hate this setup? No. I like the space is all freed up and I've got the nice armrest and everything. But it does take a little bit of getting used to. And for about the first month, you'll kind of miss the gear shift. And then after a while, this is fine. I don't have an issue with it, to be honest with you. The other thing the guy complained about was the engine shutoff. And that button is right here. And what I noticed is that, my comfortable driving position is like this, and my fingers are it's easy access to that button. So I wouldn't say I hate it or dislike it at all. I just find that it takes a little bit of getting used to, and then sometimes it can be a little bit, concerning when you're in the middle of an intersection and you're waiting to make a left-hand turn. And that's when you might want to just take your finger and hit the button and start the engine up. And that's the only real concern that I have in that regard. So I can't really say it's a negative. I know why it's there. It's for better emissions. And I think it's a good thing. It's just something you have to get used to. And it's fairly easy to access the button here. So no real complaints in that regard, in my humble opinion. Okay, so the next thing the gentleman complained about was crash mitigation on the Ridgeline. And he was suggesting that he's driving along and it just inadvertently applies the brakes aggressively for no reason. And I haven't had that experience whatsoever in this vehicle. The best example I can give you is if that's happening, you need to get yourself into a dealership and get it checked. The cruise control, the adaptive cruise control, you'll notice this feature, or the braking feature, when you use the adaptive cruise, and it allows you to set the distance between your car and the one ahead. And if you ignore that distance, it applies the brakes gently, and then it will apply the brakes really aggressively if it needs to keep you from, having a collision. And so that's a huge safety feature. So I do not advocate turning, crash mitigation off with the little button here on the dash. And certainly for a long trip, adaptive cruise is going to be a really good thing, especially for me. I probably drive my wife crazy because I'm a late breaker. So I usually set the distance to about 3-4 car lengths behind the person ahead of me. And it actually keeps you from getting fatigued, because you can take your gas pedal foot, you can pull it back, and you can take a bit of a breather, and the car pretty much drives and brakes itself. So that's a really good thing. So if your crash mitigation system is, coming on too often, or you think it's overly sensitive, I'd get into a dealership and let them check it. So one thing I wanted to add about this whole center console sort of situation, and you might find this funny, but to me, this is a water bottle. And when my wife gets in the car, she gets in the vehicle, she's got a water bottle. I swear to God, it's like this deep and like this big around. It barely fits into the, the cup holder here. And, she'll get in, okay, I'm ready. And I'm just like, really? And I usually just take the water bottle and put it in the back. And, don't get me wrong, I love my wife. She's a total sweetheart. But, so that's one, like, she's totally defeating the whole purpose of this, is freeing up the space. And where the Hondas really excel is that you've got pockets everywhere for water bottles. You've got a specific pocket here. There's one on the other side. You've got 2 levels of storage here that water bottles can go into. Like, my God, I can have 2, 3, 4, probably four water bottles, just on the one driver's door side. So do you really need to carry around this huge jug of fluid? I don't think so. But I digress. Let's move on. So next up, we're talking about halogen daytime running lights, and the trunk bed lights were halogen. And, until I saw this guy's video, to me, it's a non-issue. I agree with them. Would it have been nice if they had it on LEDs? Yeah, absolutely. Would it have been that expensive for them? I doubt it. But, I guess in the long run, it's going to be a little cheaper to replace halogen bulbs than it will be to change out LEDs. I don't know. But to me, that one is kind of a non-issue, to be perfectly honest with you. So let's talk about something that I would not say that I hate, but I do find it that, if you walk upright and have a pulse, this feature on this vehicle, and probably any other vehicle that has it, can be a little irritating at times. And that's lane keeper assist. So it can be turned on and off. There's a button here on the console. And basically what it does is, if you're, driving at any time, you get too close to the center line, the steering wheel is going to vibrate. Or you get too close to going off the road, the steering wheel is going to vibrate. And you'll get a little message flashes up on the screen there. So it's a safety feature. It's a good thing. I'm not advocating turning it off, but I'm really happy that they've given us the option to turn it off, because every day around town driving, you don't really need it. I think for me, it's designed for, long cruises where you might be tired or what have you, and then it can be a really good thing. It can wake you up if you're starting to drift over to one side or the other. So I don't hate lane keep assist. I'm just happy they give us the option to turn it off when we need to. Okay, so to recap this little soiree into the long-term review of the 2024 Honda Ridgeline, it should be no surprise. I love the vehicle. I'm very happy with it. Are there a few little things that, maybe Honda could refine for the future? Absolutely. As with any vehicle, you're gonna have that situation. Certainly, one thing you want to be careful of is, the amount of room in the back seat if you have a young family, and I mentioned that. As far as like front to back on the vehicle, powertrain is awesome. Fuel mileage is pretty good for a truck, but people that are buying trucks don't usually worry about fuel mileage. But it's worth mentioning. I mean, I haven't had any major issues. It usually costs me $80, $90 to fill up here in Canada. The tire noise would be something that you need to check into. So, I mean, you look at the roads where I'm on now. This is a dirt road. There's potholes everywhere. This is a non-service road, and this is why I bought the Trail Sport. If you're not going to be going off-road, but you want the practicality of the truck bed, then, one of the other models, or you might even be able to get the dealer to swap out the more aggressive tires on the Trail Sport for the all-season tires. So just something to think about. I'm going to put some links for you to some other videos that I've done on the Ridgeline. I think you'll find those helpful. Thanks again for watching, and do me a favor and hit the subscribe, like, and notification bells for me. I really appreciate it. And I guess I'll be seeing you in the next one. See ya.